Wild Rose. There's something I've been longing to see. That's the reason I want to end this conflict.
What's going on, YouTube family? This is Astinosis coming at you with another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are going to talk about Boss Rush number 4. Now that the ultimate queen Tifa has arrived in Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, we are going to see a lot more players having a lot more fun, getting a lot of clears that they weren't able to do before. More importantly, Tifa is absolutely a freaking monster in this boss rush. She's basically sold for that first wave. Now, does that mean that she's mandatory for the first wave? Not at all. Other players have been figuring out ways to get past this without using her. I don't know if it's just a flex or just to demonstrate the people who either were skipping Tifa due to resources or, for whatever reason, just show players that there's examples. Me, on the other hand, one of my favorite characters of all time, I'm absolutely using her. So here we are. I probably could have gone with a different character over Aerith, but because the first boss specifically is debuff immune, I figured, hey, you know what? Aerith is a perfect candidate because she does have great auras. She increases the team's damage and makes things a little bit better for myself. And then, despite the fact that I cannot do the Imperil of Holy with Paladin Cecil, I'm still not blocked from the special effects of, his LD. I don't think I did the burst yet. I think they did the burst on the second wave. Because it really wasn't necessary. This wave really does not take that long to get through, especially if you have Tifa. I mean, she does a cool over 700k if you set up her skill 1 properly. I mean, that's insane. That's almost as much as her LD. Now, I know that there are ways to set up the LD to do even more damage, but that's not going to happen on this fight simply because of the debuff immunity. There might be a means if you use, say, for example, double burst. Actually, no, you can't do double burst effect, but I have not yet tested using Tifa and Paladin Cecil and Garland. I saw that a lot of people did do that team 1 instead. But part of the reason why I also wanted to use Aerith is that I remember watching a video, I want to say it was Zedekai's video, explaining a little bit about what you want to look out for on these waves. And he mentioned that your first team, you want them to get to roughly 60% boss health on the second wave in order to be, kind of in a good spot. And the other thing is the reason why I wanted Aerith is the Jack bosses, those flowers, they debuff you, and Aerith makes those debuffs inconsequential. So that's why I wanted to use her. And again, this particular wave itself, when you got a team like this with Tifa, it goes fast, and I did have to summon earlier than I had wanted to because that Brave gang got away from me, but realistically, that's fine. Sometimes you just have to adjust to what the game throws at you. Like, for example, I've seen a lot of players in the comments or on Facebook or on Twitter saying, when is the best time to summon? And the answer is the best time to summon is when you need it. Unless you are shutting down a boss and doing boss rush down, there's really no true answer other than when you need it. That's, in my opinion, the most correct. Now, so here we are with that second wave, and as I mentioned, now we can use debuffs. So this is where I start to use my calls, because the calls previously, would just be ignored because of the fact that they ignore all the debuffs. These guys, on the other hand, do not. Now, I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself here, but I did make one mistake when I made these team comps. What I should have done, because my team 2 that's going to take over here once these guys are just about dead, is, as you can see in the thumbnail, is going to be Celis, Firion, and Pollen. And I did that for the sake of the Firion Saga. Now, I should have swapped Firion into the third wave, because Ferris, in my opinion, would have probably better complemented the team of Celis and Pollen, because as far as I know, all they need is Ice Enchant and the Taunt, and that's it. There might be one more debuff, but I think that putting Firion there might have been a mistake, simply because, or not even have to use Ferris, maybe somebody else. Maybe Sarah, because Sarah does not have all framed buffs. I believe 2 of her debuffs are framed and 2 are not, so that would have actually probably been better off for me. But again, like this second wave was honestly a joke. Like the first 2 waves were not hard at all, especially for a team like this. Tifa getting so much battery, doing so much damage. Now, let me dial back a little bit and talk about that burst phase. The reason why I used the C65 in the burst is because when you use a C65 or a call, that number in the green circle up at the top goes down. So I opted to have Pestle do just a little bit more damage just to have that effect last longer, so that Tifa, our girl Tifa, could tear shit up, a little bit more, have more turns with that shit. And unfortunately this is going to be her last turn there, but as you see, it did almost 800,000 with her skill 1. That is insane. That is essentially, that's more than a burst. No burst ability does that currently on GL. JP, yes. JP, like, that's nothing. The bursts be doing like over 1 million now with the burst plus and level 90 and all that good shit. Now, here's where Team 2 takes over, and because this one's almost dead, there is absolutely no point in me using Firion's LD because it's going to die soon. Realistically, with Celis, I should have just waited to use her LD on that first one, but if I recall correctly, the LD is what enchants the party, and that's what I was going for because these guys are automatically weak to Ice and Holy. Now, what I did not account for in this, and this is why I mentioned that I feel like I made a mistake by bringing Firion, is because he is reliant on his drain weapon to be active. And I completely forgot and neglected the fact that these dickheads cleanse themselves constantly. Characters like Ferris and Sarah, and who have more debuff uses, can deal with that. That's a lot easier. I mean, Sarah probably would have been the optimal choice here, and then put Firion on Team 3 instead of Ferris. Now, I know there's a lot of people flexing the 2-team runs, and that's okay. They're using specific teams that are able to do so. Because of the fact that I'm using, making sure that I'm doing a specific character, that's kind of hard for me to do. And, well, I just can't deal. I'm not going to do a 2-turn, not until he gets Burst Plus. So in this case, I bursted early because of the fact that, the other thing that I completely forgot about, and this is another reason why Sarah would have been more optimal, is the fact that these guys need magic brave damage in order to go down. So they have to take magic damage, and Firion does not do magic damage. Sarah does. So in that regards, Ferris probably wouldn't have been the best idea. It would have been Sarah. Problem solved there. Boom. Let's make that final verdict. Sarah would have been the smarter choice here. So do the early burst in order to get them some breaks in, and then push them far enough to where both of these can get a go, and then we summon, and we have plenty of turns to get their HP down to the threshold, which, if I recall correctly, is about 49%, and the orbs go away for good. Now, to be honest, because of the lack of auras in this team, this wave was a little bit more of the painful ones. And thinking back, maybe I should have just done a rerun of this and do it with do a flip-flop. And truth be told, I could do a rerun of this. It wouldn't be difficult. It wouldn't take up that much time. I did not find this boss rush that difficult at all. I guess I one-shot this, and I'm not trying to flex. I'm not trying to brag or anything. It's just if you pay attention to the mechanics and what you're doing, and you're reading what's going on. Again, don't be like me and forget about the fact that they cleanse, because that's really the hardest part of this wave, is the fact that they just keep cleansing. But once you get to 49%, that orb goes away, becomes a lot more manageable. And I know you see them throwing a lot of debuffs on me. To be quite frank, those debuffs are not that bad at all. Now, it's not like they're blinding you or like severely just slicing your nuts off. They're just a little bit of a hindrance, and you can either bring somebody else that can cleanse you or something, but just make sure that you're doing consistent magic damage all the way to the point where you get them under that 50% threshold, and then you don't have to worry about the Lufenia orb, and then it's just a matter of bringing them down. Now, another thing that I forgot about with this wave is they do this bullshit where they bring all kinds of brave to the table, and I for whatever reason forgot about this. So there's a point where I'm scrambling. I'm like, crap, like what do I do? And I don't actually remember how I got around that level of brave off the top of my head, because of the fact that this was streamed last night. I did it live, and so here's where I'm like, okay, well, let me just do this. But then, okay, I remember one thing is the fact that Celes cannot die. That's right, Celes can't die, so she goes to 1 HP damage, and then that one can easily get broken. Meanwhile, she re-heals herself, and then all my dudes have plenty of HP, and that guy, we have HP damage reduction from Paladin Cecil because the LD, and he gets down to 0 brave, and boom, that's how I dealt with that. Other ways to do it, it's a better plan, is to make sure that you have insta-break calls, like if you save the Jack LD call for when they do that, or even better would be a Caius call, the LD, or another option, which also deletes their turns, would be an Immutitalian call. Because otherwise, you kind of have to make sure that you can tank the damage that they're about to dish out, or you die. Simple as that. And the good thing about having Celes there tanking them is that she absorbs that she has Last Stand, so she can't die so long as she has at least 50% HP. And it's easy to get that back, between her and Firion. So that right there would be the one saving grace of having brought him along instead of Sarah. Because Sarah does not have her own personal healing capabilities. However, she would have made these fools do some damage. And again, I might redo this, and if I do, I'll go ahead and record it just so to showcase the difference. Because I do imagine that this wave would have died under those guys. Now, if I recall correctly, these dickheads get that brave one more time just before they die. But good thing we have Butz, because Butz can set their brave all the way down. I could be misremembering, but we're about to be in the home stretch, and the final wave, especially for this team in particular, is a fucking joke. It really is. Matter of fact, I think, nope, she almost finished them off there, but then they get yeeted by Galoof. And then here's the final stretch, the whole kit and caboodle. Honestly, there was at one point here in this fight, I lost like almost all of Galif's buffs, and I don't remember how. So that's one thing I'm gonna look forward to, or not look forward to, but try to look out for, because I don't remember what I did to wipe all my buffs. It was really weird. Or maybe I had let a buff fall off. I don't know. I don't fully understand how his LD works. It happened around the time where I used his LD, and then yeah, he suddenly had one buff. And I was like, what's going on here? That's not right. That's not right at all. But as you can see, these guys are nowhere near as tanky. It's the Kais boss. You basically just gotta break the fuck out of them. And I think there's a level of... I had to unplug my phone because my capture card decided to glitch out on me. So that was beautiful and lovely. And honestly, the double counter from Galoof is fucking incredible. I love it so much. So here, get that instant break, because that uproots them. Boom, get uprooted, you fucking skanky bitch. And the best part about this team right now is the fact that before this, I didn't have the Butz burst. Like you guys just saw my video, I barely got that. I was super excited, super pumped, and I got 2 dupes along the way as well. So that means that Call of Booty will be mine one way or another, even if I have to buy it with tokens. Because as far as I know, I have roughly 45 in the bank and 10 currently in my possession. But when I say in the bank, I'm talking about dupes, because I also have that Swolbez dupe. But yeah, this wave, honestly, it felt like a joke. And then even then, it's like, well, even if I can't break you, you're not killing Galuf, because you're gonna miss. Oh, I missed the part where he lost his buffs. But I don't know, more than likely that was a mistake on my part. And I'm willing to accept that I likely made a mistake in my gameplay. And when you have the ability to launch and it's Butz' turn, definitely use an ability that's going to battery your party. One improvement that I think that needs to happen when the Loof gets his EX++ Crystal Strength level 90 goodness is he's going to need, for one, more HP dumps on his EX, but he's also going to need some splash. The lack of splash is, well, that really is what hurts him. Like, but his counters make up for the lack of splash overall. But the EX, considering it does AOE damage, it kind of feels like it, you know, there's wasted potential there. And yeah, I mean, as you can see here, like, I have so many turns left. Like there was no danger at all in me not making this within the turn limit, like the team limit, I should say. Like, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Ferris finishes it off right here. Yep, boom. That is another boss rush down, and more importantly, that is another Firion Saga in the books. He put in some work. You know, he helped heal. He helped keep the team alive. Unfortunately, the debuffs, they got cleansed. But in the end, what matters the most is the victory. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful as it could be. And this is Nasty Asti signing out.